Keep up to date with events in Cyprus and around the world with the Cyprus News Digest.
All the indications are that 2016 is going to be a bumper year for Cyprus tourism. Now that's great news for all those who work in the industry. It's something that the Cyprus Tourist Organisation, the Minister for Tourism and indeed the Cyprus Hotel Association have been working at for many, many years. Joining us is the Director General of the Cyprus Hotel Association, Zacharias Ioannidis. Zacharias, good news all round. Tell us what you're expecting of tourism this year in Cyprus.
That's very true, and this has been the result of collective effort by all the stakeholders of the hotel and tourist industry of the island in order to be at the happy situation of saying that under normal situations prevailing for the remainder of the year, we expect the year to end up as the record year of Cyprus tourism, with the tourist arrivals approaching the 3 million mark.
And that is a record breaker for Cyprus.
Definitely so. The previous record year was back 15 years ago at 2.7 million tourist arrivals. So not only we will exceed that, but we will very likely be very close to 3 million tourist arrivals this year.
Is this down to us having more tourist beds, or perhaps to people coming here as opposed to certain other nearby countries that have had problems with security and so on?
It's a combination of both our efforts and exogenous parameters and developments that help us get to Cyprus people that will otherwise go to other destinations that unfortunately suffer problems for various reasons. But the important thing is that we take this as a golden opportunity so as the increased number of tourist arrivals we are going to have to convert these visitors, these esteemed guests of ours, as repeat customers and guests of Cyprus, by giving us the best of we can offer compared to the improved both facilities as a result of the many renovations and upgradings and improvements that quite a number of hotel properties have undergone by, and definitely by impeccable standard of services, so as to leave the island and say they had a value for money experience, and at the same time those that came for the first time to say, why didn't we consider Cyprus in our options for our holidays for the so many years before?
What about the problems with infrastructure? If we look at Paphos and those ongoing roadworks that seem to be delayed year in, year out, they do say this year we'll see the end of it, but there have been problems in other towns too. How do tourists react when they go to a beautiful island? Maybe they're very pleased with their hotel, but then they go outside and they have to face dust, roadworks, no pavements and all of this. We've still got a long way to go on that score, haven't we?
Yes, but allow me to give a more objective picture of the tourist resource areas of Cyprus. Nobody, and especially the repeat visitors of our island, will recognize and appreciate the vast improvements in the overall infrastructure and ambience that you enjoy by strolling on the coastline of the many tourist areas and resorts of Cyprus, with the pedestrian roads just by the sea, with the nice cosmopolitan ambience that transpires both in Protaras, Agianapa, Larnaca, at the beachfront, in Limassol and in Paphos area, so that this, I would say, unique feeling of just enjoying a romantic walk, just where the waves are breaking on the coast with your spouse or your friends, and enjoying the nice evenings and the beaches of Cyprus. It's definitely an added value to the overall infrastructure that a tourist resort area offers in Cyprus. At the same time, you are correct, in certain towns there is, let's say, an unprecedented roadworks or other infrastructure improvements that are taking place. And I take the example of Paphos, which prepares itself to celebrate next year as the European City of Culture of 2017. So a lot of infrastructural improvements are taking place in order for 2017 Paphos to be its most upgraded infrastructural and in many other facets picture and experience for the many visitors that will attract because of the year of enjoying as the European cultural city. So it's understandable, and what is important is to explain to the tourists when they come across to these roadworks and other infrastructural developments that are taking place, that it's a transitional period for the overall upgrading of the town for that historical mark.
All right, let's talk about the hotels, because you are obviously concerned with the hotels as a hotel association, and I presume that most, if not all, of our hotels are members of your association. It's come to my attention that some hotels are asking people to pay up front before they get into their room for the entire cost of their stay. Now, that surely is going to put people off. I think most people accept that they'll have some money on their credit card blocked so that they don't do a runner. That's fair enough. But is it really a good practice to ask customers to pay for everything before they're even given the key to their room? Because the other problem for those customers is that if there's anything that isn't quite as it should be, they don't really have a leg to stand on because they've already paid.
You're correct. The standard practice that applies in Cyprus as well is to block a certain amount from your credit card once the reservation is confirmed for the stay of your holidays or at the specific hotel. On the other hand, there may be instances, and it is covered by the law, and it gives the right to the hotelier to ask for the money upfront, especially in peak periods in which the demand by far exceeds the supply. For example, let me clarify and say my own experience when we visit the big tourist exhibitions in London or Berlin, etc., where the demand for rooms is extremely high, and many hotels follow the practice which does not make us feel happy, and I'm sure they don't make the client or the tourist feel happy if you ask them to prepay even months in advance. And believe me that this is the case when we attend the big tourist exhibitions, to pay up in front for the whole stay of 3 or 4 nights at the specific hotel. This is definitely not something you can find as a norm in Cyprus, but there may be instances that a hotelier may choose, if he has such a big demand situation, to minimize the risk in a way.
He also maximizes the chance of those guests never returning.
You are very correct. That's why we say that the norm in Cyprus is not to ask for the clients to pay upfront for their stay.
And is there anything
to block from their credit cards the specific amount, and then you pay it once you check out.
Is there anything that the Hotel Association can do about this? After all your hard work over the years to try and get those repeat customers, practices like this are undermining all those years of hard work.
You are very correct. We are issuing circulars, we're giving suggestions, but you may appreciate that we cannot enforce on how each hotel owner runs his own business. And let me explain and let me repeat again that this is not the norm. The norm is to block from your credit card or once you do and confirm the reservation, but not to withdraw the money, but just upon checkout.
So your hopes for the season then, despite some of these, we could call them almost unsavoury practices, even if they're legal?
These are exceptions to the rule. Let us
Okay, but
yes.
your hopes for the rest of the season, and let's look ahead to next season. You talk about this repeat business.
That's
We
right.
really do need to try and ensure that people have a good experience in Cyprus, not just in the hotels, but also
the overall
in
experience
the
of the
towns
stay.
if they go and visit, or the mountains or so on.
That's exactly our challenge. That's where we raise the bar. The challenge of Cyprus tourists this year is that the increased number of tourist arrivals, the record year we're going to experience, to be transferred and converted into a rigid foundation for which to build for a continuous growth for the following years. Let us not forget, we live in a volatile world. We live in dynamic changes that are taking place, like Brexit, the currency fluctuations that are taking place, which set us all on the move in order to always keep improving the experience with which our guests are leaving the island, so that we transfer them and convert them into ambassadors of Cyprus, and will be very much welcome to see them again next year and next year coming again to Cyprus. This is a challenge, and this is how we are working very hard to make that challenge be fulfilled and ensure that the tourist industry is the main pillar of the Cypriot economy to even maximize its contribution for the welfare of the people of Cyprus.
That is Zacharias Ioannidis, who's the General Manager of the Cyprus Hotel Association, as we look forward to a bumper year for tourism.